The housing market is tough right now. It's bad. It's hard to get into. With the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates now, the optics of rising housing inflation, it looks bad. The Federal Reserve does not expect housing prices or the cost of rent to normalize until maybe mid 2026. Now, the Federal Reserve is cutting interest rates right now, but the rising cost of housing is only complicating matters. Now, in this video, we're going to discuss the housing market. We're going to talk about the issues that it poses for the Federal Reserve rate cuts, for the economy, and for consumers in general. Now, before we get started, let me just say that if you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me. The housing market is tough right now. It's bad. It's hard to get into. It's cutthroat. The price of houses in the last 4 or 5 years have completely skyrocketed. Prices don't even really make sense anymore. I've had so many people ask the question of who can even afford to buy a house right now, and the cost of rent is not lagging behind either. I remember years ago, my first apartment I got under $800, and nowadays you can't even find those type of prices on the market for something that's even halfway decent anymore. The housing and the renting market have completely changed in the last 4 or 5 years, and consumers have not really been able to keep up with it. Well, Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell recently commented last week that the Fed is keeping a close eye on housing inflation, and the Cleveland Fed recently conducted research that suggests that housing inflation may not begin to normalize until mid 2026. Now, there's no denying that the cost of shelter is the biggest category in the consumer price index, and it's consistently running higher than other categories, while overall inflation has pretty much normalized. The cost of housing is just consistently above normal inflation, normal things, even more volatile things. Housing pretty much month after month, it keeps coming up on top, and it's the biggest driver of that overall number, and it's becoming to be kind of like a thorn in the side for the Fed, because it's something that just cannot get under control, can't get with the rest of the trend or where the rest of the inflation is going. And it has a negative real life effect as well. When so much of someone's income goes directly into housing or into rent, just having a place to save, it takes away from other forms of spending that could be beneficial for the economy. Discretionary spending, just money that you have on the table that you could go out to eat, go to movie, whatever you decide to do, spend on clothes, entertainment, trips, whatever. When so much of your income goes into housing, it takes away from that discretionary spending. It takes away from other parts of the economy. So it's a drag on people, but it's also a drag on overall economics, which the Federal Reserve is watching very closely. And with the Federal Reserve cutting interest rates now, the optics of rising housing inflation, it looks bad. Now, the Federal Reserve started cutting interest rates in order to give the labor market a boost. That was what was struggling, and overall inflation did cool close to around 2%, a little bit higher than that, but more in a normal range. But with housing inflation continuing to just drive inflation as a whole, it's becoming a tough thing. Now, I don't think that the Federal Reserve is going to abruptly stop cutting interest rates. I do think that another rate cut is coming in December, but you do have economists that have come out and voiced their opinions and said that with the way the housing market is still trending, maybe we should not be cutting interest rates at this time. Now, I do think they will cut another 0.25% in December, but after that, I do think that the Federal Reserve is going to take a pause I think at the beginning of next year that they will not be cutting interest rates. They're going to pause for a while. They're going to see how the economic data comes in to begin 2025 before they continue on their rate cutting cycle. I think that you're going to have a window there where no type of activity from the Fed takes place. And I do think that that's the appropriate thing. And another thing with the housing market, it's not all on the Federal Reserve. While they do, they support the labor market, they support the economy with interest rates. We do also have a shortage of affordable housing, a shortage of places for people to rent. And when you have that scarcity, prices just go up. The Federal Reserve can't really do much about that. That falls more on the construction industry and other things that are affecting the housing market. And it's not just some kind of easy fix either. I think we're short millions of houses that should be built, and we just can't build them fast enough as you need people to go into them. And that's kind of the situation that we're in. And again, the Federal Reserve does not control over that, and they can't really affect that too much. But with housing inflation continuing to rise and continuing to run high, it is making it more challenging for the Federal Reserve to stay on their rate cutting course. If you like content like this, leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. Make sure you subscribe for more content like this and hit that thumbs up button for me.